There we go. It's
Okay.
working. Go for it, bro. Explain your
All
strat.
right. So my strategy is fairly simple, fairly straightforward, at least in my opinion. Um, so you have to have three things. You have to have 2-minute EMAs in your favor. You have to have a horizontal level. That could be a 5-minute pivot. It could be or pie or below, previous day high, previous day low, um, pre-market levels. And then you also have to have either 10-minute CBC or 10-minute EMA favor. And then you have to have at least 5 total confluences. So that extra confluences could be like golden zone, um, you know, above or out like an outside day, or VWAP favor, stuff like that. And what I do is I just enter at the exact moment it hits the horizontal level, as long as I have enough confluences or all the confluences I need. And then I just put my take profit, stop loss, and let it do its thing.
Now, your take profit and your stop loss are they the same consistent bracket every time?
Yeah, so stop loss is always 6 points because it boosted my win rate from like it was at like mid 50s, and I went at the time when I moved it to 6 point stop loss, it boosted it to like 65% win rate or something like that.
Okay.
And then since then it's fallen back down. And then take profit, 10 points. Uh, I'm not entirely sure why I settled on that one. It seems to be like one of the better. I think I pick up like 8 winning trades over 140 if I lower it to 8 points. So I don't know.
Okay, that's really good. So you know if you lowered it, how many more additional trades, quote unquote, become winners.
Right.
At a certain point, are you moving the stop loss to break even?
Sometimes.
Oh,
So it kind of depends on like what the chart looks like. If the chart like shoots up to 8 points out of my 10 point take profit, then I'm starting to like, oh, maybe I'll move my stop up just to kind of make sure that it doesn't pull back 14 points on me and hit me for a full 6 point loss.
I got you.
Um, but like I've kind of found that sometimes around key levels you'll like get a lot of chop,
Mm-hmm.
and so if I like, it might pull back 10 points from the 8 point take profit, or 8 points that it gave me, and then finish off that full 10 point take profit.
Okay, got you. All right, so more discretionary there, not like a hard and fast rule of once I'm in seven, it's a break even.
Right.
Okay. So I think it would be interesting for you like to see in some sort of review if you wanted to, like if you had a hard and fast rule, which is when is that rule advantageous for you? Because like the only reason I bring that up is excuse me, right now the market's really volatile, right? And like ES has a lot of range. I mean, even today, good day, it's moving pretty well, but the range is only 48%, you know?
Right.
It's 48%, excuse me, of the ATR. The ATR is at like 95. I'm sure as people who have, watched ATR and been trading a long time, they probably remember when ES's ATR was like 50, you know, which a 10-point take profit on a 50 ATR could be tough. But then I'm sure you could probably also, because it's such a tight range, you could get away with adjusting your take profit to 5 and your risk to 3 because it's not moving as much. You know what I mean?
Right.
But yeah, that's probably like down the road.
Yeah, I'm not at that point yet, I don't
Y-
think.
yeah, and also the market hasn't the ATR hasn't contracted for a consistent period of time to warrant you making a big change, right?
Right.
Um, so okay, so now that you kind of explained that, we got you the explanation of your take profit, your stop loss, and all that's good. I have to say, man, like, and first and foremost, for anybody who watches this video or anybody who's listening live, I greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate that you are actively putting in the work, and then like you kind of reach that point where you're like, hey, will you look at this for me? Because I think that not I think I know there are too many people who send me messages or tag me in things, and they're not putting in the work, right? They don't have any sort of sense of data and system like you've just outlined, and they're kind of like, I don't know why I take losing trades. So, and you know the win rate of this, which is pretty good. So if we go
Yeah.
through these losses, one other quick question before we start is the risk here. It says 10-10, like
Okay. So the way I have risk is um, up to 10 points, the maximum amount of risk to get the maximum amount of points captured. And then if the risk would be greater than 10, like if it just goes like 15 or just reverses completely, I'll just put 10 because I don't think I'm ever going to want a strategy where I sit through a 10-point like day trade stop loss.
oh, okay, I
You know what I
got
mean?
you. Yep, I got you. Understood. Okay. But your bracket's always set at 6, so that's the same.
Right.
All right. So,
And so, yeah,
yo, go ahead.
the red ones I've highlighted um, are ones that like exceed the current parameters of the trade.
Hmm.
Right. So like currently I've got a 6-point stop loss, a 10-point take profit. If the risk would have been greater than 6, I highlight it red just to make it easier to go through and see. And if the future I want to like change that, I would just make it easier, I think.
Got you. Got you. Okay. So let's maybe just start like this, right? So looked at the first one, 324 at 1110. That was this one here, and so that's what I was thinking is, um, like why, like really, like why this trade? Because at this point at 1110 is right here, and we've already broken the pivot, like we've already had this like surge move up, and then you know how do I say it? It's like you could see the price, like the chart has already made these legs up, right? Like,
Right.
and I would say too, like why would this be a trade when after a big move up and the consolidation, a not as big a move up, consolidation, not as big a move up. I don't really like sideways consolidation. Like this is a wick out, then not as big a move up. So you see, like these surges are getting, you can see that they're getting smaller, right?
Right.
So my thought was after a pivot's broken, that's kind of almost like a negative confluence, like,
Right. Uh-huh.
and so does this, you know, should that be like if you made that a criteria to say, is the pivot broken? Yes or no? If yes, then like there's no trade, or if yes, then maybe like, do you have to wait or do something different, right? Because like this is just one example, right? And then if we go to the same day, 1216, oof, man, market's selling off. I got to move this runner, take profit down. Damn, moving stops down. 1216 is here.
Right.
So there was a big pull. There was, um,
So,
so you made this again. You made a new high, and then it failed to hold over this new high. The candle actually closed under. Like, 'cause you made a new high here, it moved down, and then it surged for one more high, it moved down, and then it really set up. Um, this looks like from this little leg like a golden zone pullback. Yep.
yeah. So it's been like I'm trying to figure out like some new rules, obviously, because like some trades like these two you're pointing out now, and actually I think there was a third trade in there. Well, there was another almost trade in there that like technically fit my parameters to take the trade, but like looking at them, I'm like, uh, I'm pretty sure this isn't going to work out just from where we are on the chart. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, and so like that's kind of like if I can eliminate those trades, then I can push the win rate hopefully up like pretty high on this strategy.
Right. Right.
So, but like, how do I? Because like, if you say like if you're just going by pivot breaks, right?
Hmm.
Already broken, like
Hmm.
on that same day, 324. Like, would you count the? I took a trade at like 10:20 ish. I want to say that green candle right at just to your right, two candles to the right. Yeah, that green candle. So when that came down and hit that, I think that's orb high line there.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. So that was a trade, but that one worked out, right?
Yeah, it did, right? But you had to sit through some stuff, right?
Right.
Yeah. So
But like, how would you say that that's not like? But then right after that, like in the lower point, deep in that pullback, right after that, like that was another trade. Um, and obviously that one worked out. But like, what could I say is the difference between those two that I can like consistently, without having to use like too much like of my judgment, because I have bad judgment. So like I'm just trying to get some like hard and fast rules that can like help. You know what I mean?
Right. That's a good question. So, I mean, because this one is after a pivot break, but it worked out. You just had to sit through it. And I think, like, how could I think really how could you refine entries, right? Like, because if you,
Right.
that's what it's all about, is if you refine entries to something where there's the stronger probabilities, like how would that work? So I think that like you, after your pivot's broken, you would say, well, I have to wait for a pullback, right? And so like, because here the pivot's broken, you get the pullback and then it goes. Pivot's broken, like, yeah, you get the pullback, but like now, I don't know how to say it. Like, it's
Yeah. Like,
tough.
what's the difference?
Yeah, it's tough
I
because
guess.
it's a tough because like there's sometimes where it like it just pulls back and it goes and it goes and it goes, right?
Right.
On the rare occasion, but um, and then sometimes those are not the, you know, those are not the, those are anomalies, right? Where it just pulls back and goes, pulls back and goes, pulls back and goes. But like typically speaking, the more pullbacks you have, the less probable each one is going to be, right? So like if we look at
Right.
this from this move, uh, I don't know if I would count this as a pullback just because I highly doubt the 2 minute 9 was anywhere near here before this surge up and it probably got pulled up, right? But this is for sure a pullback. 1, 2, 3. Now you have 4, and this was where you had your first failed trade. So maybe that's a good way
Right.
of reviewing this, is like, have there been 2 or less pullbacks,
Yeah.
right?
I
Because
could just go through and like mark how many like how many like which pullback each trade would be, and then I could go through and say like then I could just sort the data and be like, okay, so if it's 3 or more, like it doesn't work, or if it's 2 or more, and get this percent,
right,
whatever.
right. So that might be something that works, because you're right. I mean, you did take this one, and it would like, and even and K dot did just post in their skin over recent wins, wondering if any of them were pivot break retests. Like this was one of them for sure.
Right.
And then, but that was the key thing that stood out on like on these two, right? As far as a loss, right? And then we go back to, I probably need to expand this to 30 days. That's today. Did you have any trades today yet, or that you would have added to
Yeah.
this?
I've had 3, and they would all be like good trades.
Okay.
3 wins.
Okay, so then we'll skip that then. So let's go back to, what's the next day with the loss? Is the 21st, 20th, 21st. Okay. 21st, 11:46 a.m. Okay, I remember this one. This was also OPEX. So like of course there's like some tomfoolery. Yep. Thank you for sharing your chart. So
Yep.
11:46 a.m. is right here on this green candle.
Hmm.
And this 68. Oh, this is close. Like it almost gives it to you.
Yeah.
Oh, that sucks. that
Well,
definitely does suck. And here, and again, here's where I saw was this pivot here made the new high of day, right? Like, because you came up,
yeah.
you held the higher low, another one, and then boom, you went, right? And so then you broke this pivot, it pulled back. I took this short here on NQ, the same exact one. I just remember this look. Remember it popping up, going through when it sliced back through the EMAs. I was like, yep, that's good. And it fell. And so now when it fell, it broke this pivot here. So like whether it's like a change of character or you want to talk about liquidity or whatever, when you broke
Yeah.
under there and then there was nothing that was going to close under there, you know, I think anything through here would have told me like, oh, this isn't working, and I might have looked to cut it earlier, take profit earlier. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But that's the big thing I saw there was you broke the pivot that originally had made high of day, but you couldn't close below it.
Right.
So,
So
and this will be
maybe like,
tough.
yeah, this is tough, but like I'm just thinking right now, and you can tell me if like I'm onto something maybe or not.
Yeah.
But like if you like if it breaks the pivot but it like seems to be like a liquidity sweep almost, or whatever you want to call it, right? Like if it immediately rejects, because right now I'm waiting for like a 5 minute closure
Mm-hmm.
outside, like past the pivot. So like if it immediately rejects, or like, yeah, like if it's a liquidity sweep type deal, like maybe don't take those trades,
Yeah.
because like that's something I can look for too.
Yep. That'd be a good idea because like in terms of pullbacks, right? Like you could say, all right, well, like CBC flip back short, right? And then when we go back to the 2 minute chart, like you've had really kind of this one pullback in through here, it knifes down, you get in on the second pullback. When you immediately are getting like another pull, like it just keeps coming back to the 2 minute, and it moves lower and then it pops all the way back up. Like this final sweep here was like, and then when it closed all the way up here, it was like, yeah, we're gonna go the other way,
Yep.
But it's an OPEX one, so maybe that's just be considering the day or the time, might be something to just like put an asterisk by. But then for the whole day, I just want to see something. I've noticed a lot of times lately. There's this 78. Yep. They've been playing, I don't know what it is, like somebody turned on a new algo or what, but they've been playing a lot with this 78.6 algo. Like, or whatever. It's not an algo, sorry, just this level. Sorry. I don't know if it's an algo based thing or what, but there's been so many times where I'm seeing this 78.6 getting hit or touched, or nothing's closing below it, and you get a complete reversal to the other side.
Yeah.
But so that was your only one on the 21st. 20th was right here. This one was I felt like this one you'll probably understand a whole lot is your trade is, and I'll go back to the 10 minutes so you can see it easier, but your trade is 20th at 1050. So at 1050 we're really high up there. Like,
Yeah.
I mean
And this
we're
is one, yeah, this is one that I took, and like literally I was like debating in my head. I was like, do I take it or do I not? Just because like it's the strategy. But
yep.
I was like, I'm 90% sure this is not gonna work.
Yeah, and this was the third pullback too. If you look at it right, because you're just sort of gliding upwards here. There's no
Yep.
real touches. First pullback flag breaks. This one's like close. I wouldn't quite count that the second, but then you get the third one that's like here, or it's the second one that's here, and then you're getting in on the third one for sure.
Yeah.
You could maybe argue that it was like first consolidation push, second one push, third push. You know what I mean? But it was for sure at least the third pullback. And so going back to the earlier examples, if you say, have there been two or less pullbacks, that would help,
Yep.
right? I guess if you
Yeah.
said, if it were really has been two or more, then it's a no. If there's only been, if there's been 0 or 1, it's a yes. And that would, then
Yep.
already we would have eliminated 3 losses.
Can I just pick your brain on something real quick?
Go ahead. Yeah, I'm going
Kind
to
of
move the,
pullback related.
what's that?
So pullback related. So
Oh, yeah, that's one other thing I forgot here too. Go ahead.
so way down at the bottom of that trend, you have like those little gray candles, the 3 of them. Now, if I'm going to be tracking pullbacks, what do you think about those? Are they pullbacks? Like, what do you like? You see what I'm saying? Like, because they're technically pullbacks, but like, are they pullbacks? You see what I'm saying?
Here, here, and here.
Yep.
That's just profit taking.
Okay.
That's my interpretation of it. It's profit taking, and I would, a lot of times in my personal experience, a lot of times you see this candle is slow. It doesn't move.
Yep.
It doesn't move down quickly, and it's slow enough. Like, and it just entices the amateur trader to try the short.
Yeah.
oh, we're on VWAP and it just starts to trickle, 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 trickle. And then this one opens and this one starts to trickle down too. And people were like, yep, boom, we're getting that reversal. And they get stuffed.
All right. Yeah. So maybe, I mean, just spitballing here, but maybe like a rule that like a pullback has to be more than like two or more candles, right?
Um, yeah, yeah,
Just like I
yeah.
count it as like an actual pullback for my back test.
Yeah, some days though, like on the 2 minute time frame, you're not going to see, you're just going to see a sea of green candles, right? Like,
Right.
you might even have like some dojis or something. Because even this isn't so much like really as much of a pullback. I mean, I guess it does, right? Because it goes like from here to here, and that's 11 and a half
Yeah.
points. But realistically, like when you make that surge up over the orb high, and you make this other surge up, right, and your candle closes here, it really just drifts. Like this just flags out sideways to go, closes here, drifts sideways, goes up, up, up. This one really kind of like pulls back, because like on a line chart, this is gonna be like just like nothing, like big surge, and like, but ultimately, you're not moving lower. You're just kind of drifting sideways
Right.
up, little pullback. There's a bigger pullback, little pull. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, The other thing too, this was the big one that stood out with this trade here is so your entries, up here.
Yeah.
And if we go back to the 10-minute chart, on that same point, you had already broken over. So like this was this FOMC high? The 19th? No. That was the prior, right? When was FOMC? Was it the 19th? I think it was.
Yeah, that sounds right. 18th or 19th, something
Yeah,
like that.
right. So like on the one hand, I could see why when we held the FOMC low, a lot of people were probably anticipating that we were just going to go over and break the post FOMC high. But like when you made a new session high, that's where there was clear signs of profit taking, right? And so
Right.
um that was like, okay, we surged over the session high, we had profit taking. That's at 1040. By the time you're getting in at 1046,
Stop filled.
oh, all right, trail stop hit. Um, right? No, was it
Yeah, it was actually on that level you just drew where I entered.
5760? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So you,
Um, so like those high, like those upper wicks right before we break out there, like those were like why I was like, oh man, this is and then like that candle that closed above had an upper wick too, and I was like, oh man, this isn't gonna work.
yeah,
And at that point, you're so extended from the 10-minute EMAs, but I don't really have like anything in my system to say like, don't take that. So I still have to like backtest it and count it, but
I got you. But I think that's where, um, again, I think we're on. This was the 20th, right? Pivot already broken, breaking over session high, pre-market high, right? So here's your overnight session high, major pivot broken, several pullbacks.
mhm,
So similar thing. 319, you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 trades. All would
6
have,
losses. Yeah, that
yeah.
was a rough day.
That's okay. I mean, it was FOMC too. So, um, let me go back to that 2 minute chart. Back a little way. First one would be 319, 10, a.m. So here, here. This one, yeah, this one I had a good question about. Is like, why would you enter in on this candle?
um, well, that was again, it was one that I was like, did it close enough over to like count it? But like, technically it pulled back onto like previous day high,
Yeah, yeah. It had just. That's the thing though. You had just broken a major pivot of breaking previous day high,
right?
and then
So then it's like,
go ahead.
how much of a pullback do you need to consider it a pullback, right? Because basically the strategy is just a break and base on key levels with candle by candle or EMA confluence, basically. So it's
Gotcha.
like, how much is a pullback?
Right, right. So I think the gap maybe to try to close is when are we getting pullbacks versus we've already cleared a key pivot and now we're likely to like maybe like really pull back or reverse, you know?
Right.
And a lot of times if this is one again where if you avoided a key pivot break, you know, um no, there's no trade to take. And then I think you have another loss set up here at 1028, so it'd be the bottom of this candle. And what I put here is like again, it follows that key pivot break. This 10-minute hammer candle, so surge up, 10-minute hammer candle makes you wonder, makes you ask like where did these buyers go? And then you've cleared the key level, which was the prior day's high. Now, if you look how the prior day's high panned out, it's a strong area for sellers. It's not just like somewhere where like, we consolidated into the close at the highs.
Right.
And then this is a potential reversal indicator here, right? You're extended from the 10-minute EMAs. You have this hammer candle at the top of a trend. It's the puzzle piece that doesn't fit. It doesn't look right. So there's almost like back-to-back losses on the same time frame.
Right.
Um,
Yeah. One thing I've just kind of noticed just from like this little review we've done so far is like
yeah.
it seems to be, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but if we make like a big move and then we hit like a key level and like immediately pull back, like like here for example, we made a big move, hit that previous day high, and then immediately pulled back. The day before, we made the big move, hit the pre-market high, pulled back immediately. Like
Mhm.
those seem to be less likely. I
Yeah.
don't know, just from like these 4 days we just looked at.
Yeah. The market's on like search and destroy mode, dude. Like you just like go to an area, you clear over a level and like fly the other way.
Right.
I mean, even if you look at like because I mean, well, this was the FOMC move, right? Like, look what we did here. We broke over this high, and look where he flew back to. You know,
Yep.
like that's a no joke 40-point drop. That's serious. But what did we do first? We cleared this level, and we did more than just clear it. But when the volatility is very high and we're like surging, it overshoots. A lot of times it'll
Right.
like really overshoot, or it'll just go like deep into that area. And if there's any orders there, people start taking profit because they know they broke a key level, whatever. And it's like once all that subsides, it's just like we just flutter down the book. I mean, because it's an auction process, right? So like the auctioneer is asking if anybody wants to buy up here, and it's a no, and it's a no, and it's a no, and it's like, well, when does somebody want to start buying? You know.
Yep.
Um. So same reason there. 11:10. I think I put something like, why would this be a loss or trade at all? Here. No. Yeah, here.
Yeah.
This one right here.
So that's the orb level. It broke above and then like came back and touched it on both that candle and the second candle right there. But so like technically it hits all the criteria, right? It's got those. It's above VWAP, candle by candle, 10-minute EMAs. What else was there? Uh, yeah, those three key level pulled
Gotcha.
back. But like, what is the again? Like, I feel like you've kind of hit on a good point. It's like, what would you consider a pullback?
Right,
Is
because
like, is one candle a pullback?
yeah, because this doesn't appear to be like enough to like form basing, and like you've just made this move upwards here, and because this is we're not talking about NQ, we're talking about ES, and so for ES you've made a 14-point move here inside of like 15 minutes here, and it's now extended from those 2-minute EMAs, which of course it ultimately then knifed through. So you take the big loss, and then waiting to have the entry with the EMA confluence, it's a win.
Right.
So I think that's why I put like, why would this be a loss or even excuse me, or an entry? And then 11:16, you took it again.
There's another level right there. There's a what is it? What's it? I can't read. 5 minute. Yeah, there's a 5-minute pivot like just below there.
Okay, I got
So
you.
and then actually there's a third entry like 2 minutes later. That's a win. That's at the bottom of that pullback. That's a 5 minute reversal pivot down there. So
Okay. And this was an entry down here.
yep, just barely.
So
Like
let
the
me.
EMAs are just barely not crossed.
Yeah. Yeah. I see. I mean, I can see that pretty clearly, and like I drew the. That's why earlier I just kind of quickly drew the fib. I was like, oh, I'm just pretty sure this is a 50% pullback,
Yeah.
and it makes a nice like high or low here on. And this is also FOMC day, which is like notoriously like pretty choppy in 2 o'clock. So, there might be instances like this that you determine like, hey, I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait to take the trade because the morning data is worse than the afternoon. Similar to like OPEX, a lot of times, there's people make comments about afternoon trend, which is exactly what happened on Friday.
Right. Yeah, I guess candle by candle is mostly like a trend strategy, and
For sure.
so like
Right.
days that are like notoriously choppy probably doesn't do well.
Right. Exactly. And 12:10 or 12:12, you have a loss here.
Yeah, there's
Candle.
a 5 minute pivot up there. Yeah, there's a 5 minute pivot just above the previous day high, and then there's another entry at the previous day high there. So
So what I saw here is you'd already broken, made new high of day. You came back down, you pull back, and you pull back into the EMAs, and you glided upwards, which you would have seen before entering. You
yeah,
glided upwards. You couldn't even double top, but it has that double top look. It has this M.
yeah, the
It
two
has
peaks.
it has this M pattern set up, and so it's like, do I really want to go long here, or do I want to wait for the bulls to show me, like the real bulls to show me that they're present?
Hmm.
You know, which, depending on what you wanted to do or how you wanted to use it, that could have been extreme.
Right.
But I definitely saw the double top there. I did double top showed reversal. 12:16,
Should be like that one. Yep.
and so that's pulling back to this high of day here.
Yep. That was like the last 2 minutes of that 10 minute candle that flipped red too, or
Got you.
flipped short.
Yeah, it did, right? And so your candle by candle flip short.
Yep.
So
But like,
so is 10-minute CBC a required thing?
uh, no. So you have to have either the CBC or the EMAs,
Okay.
or you can have both. Obviously, I count that as two confluences. But like,
Right.
yeah,
I saw that over here. I think it's 10-minute
yeah,
CBC or both.
yeah,
You have it marked as both, but you really only. Oh, you still have both
well,
because it
because
hadn't closed yet.
technically, yeah,
Yeah.
it hadn't closed yet. So
Right. Got you. Um. Yeah, and then like I like this idea. You know what I mean? I like this idea, like trying to, and you can see where they're trying to like base and hold off of this, but I
yeah, it's almost like the pivot to the downside had already been broken. If that makes sense.
yeah, here
Yeah.
exactly.
So like, if they were gonna hold it, should have held it there.
Right. And as much as I
Which,
like that idea to try to hold, like to try to hold in this area and then move upwards, like you failed to move higher, so where are you likely to go? Like potentially move lower, and then I would see like if you had this whole leg, right, or even depending on the higher time frame, just this whole leg, and then it's failed up here, I would be thinking, all right, well, we're going to come back down here and test this area, and that's
right.
that's exactly how it plays out. And then there's FOMC, so we'll disregard that, but um yeah, I would just see this as like candle by candle is flipped short, and you push up, and then they sell the body perfectly. And when they're selling the body, for you to take the short, they're also selling from this area, and this is important because it's your most recent buyers who even through this move, when they came back, they tried to buy again and they couldn't push a new high. So when they couldn't push a new high, they're happy to get out, break even small. That makes
Yeah.
sense. I think I really top ticked on my stop out. I'm on a roll today.
Nice. Yeah, today's a good day. Today's a good
Glad you're having a good.
day.
Um. All right. Let's see. 318. I think because I think that's the last one on 318. Oh, so this one, like I was confused about because you had just barely like the orb was just set and you just barely made a new low, and then that always concerns me when like the orb is set here, you go two candles, you make new low, but you're not closing below a strength.
Right.
That one
Yeah.
like that's like I think I put like very common. Yeah. Pivot broken. 10 a.m. is a very common reversal slash take profit time. Cannot go short immediately after or below is broken.
Right.
Other one at 20, which was here. And depending on where you got in on this candle, but same thing, man. They just barely made that. That's always a cause for concern. Like, what do you mean you just made this new low and then you close back up here, you know? It makes me think that these sellers are weak. And if these sellers are weak, like how come they're not just shoving down?
Right. The Yeah, so I don't know. There was like two levels there, right? Because I had the one level
Yep.
that's the obviously the 5 minute pivot from that first pull down just before EMAs were set or orbs were set,
Mm-hmm.
and then second time I don't- so I've been debating like whether or not I should take a second attempt on them. You know what I mean? Because I didn't take the orb touch. I took the second touch on that 5 minute pivot.
5 minutes.
Right. Sorry.
No, you're
I,
good.
me and my multiple time frames.
No, it's 18. 18.
Yep. So you see, yeah, from the bottom of that green candle just to the left there. Yep. Like that's like a 5 minute swing low or whatever.
Right.
Sorry. Yeah, bottom of that green can the wick, I guess.
Oh, okay. Okay. Got it.
Yeah, yeah.
So you went short the
I
second
went
time.
short there,
Yep.
and then again when it hit it again, uh, 15 minutes later, 10 minutes later, or whatever.
And that was another loss.
Yeah,
10:04, 10:20, and 11:02.
yeah.
Yeah, the 11:02 one again. It's like this was almost like felt breakout ish. But you had to be
11:12, I think, right?
11:02.
I think it's
11:12. My bad. It'd be on
so
this gun.
that was on the orb,
Right. Okay.
I think. Yeah. Or no, a different 5 minute pivot. Swing low there. Low
Yep.
day.
Yep. I can see this whole like basically buyers are trying to hold this area, trying to hold this area. It fails. Then we try to base under it, and we just don't really get that push down. Back to that 2 minute chart.
Right.
11, 11:12 was this green candle. And so you got stopped on this?
I think so. Yeah. I think, what did I have written down? Yeah. It hit 7 points. 7 points on the pullback from the
I got
on the
you.
swing low.
I
Yeah.
got you. Yeah. Yep. It just barely did. It barely would have stopped you. It just depends on where you entered.
Yeah. Now I would have taken the orb short too, probably, because I think it still has all the confluences, right? I wrote that down. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would have been a nice trade too, but
Right. This one here, this next trade.
yeah, that yeah, it's the win. So
So this one's kind of tough because it's like, well, obviously we broke the new low of day, we pull back and we break another new low of day. In terms of like 2-minute pullbacks, you fall off, you get the first pullback. This looks a lot like how today went.
yep,
Like I think like today almost went exactly like this. You went into the 2-minute EMAs, you flushed. I think it made a new low. Then it came back up through the 2-minute EMAs, rounded over into this one, knife through, pulled back to the 2-minute EMA, short flush. So then like second one went further, third. This one's a tough one. I think that
yeah,
part of it here is, can you or should you maybe wait until you get closer to that level to tighten up your risk?
right,
And then it might result in a missed trade, but is a missed trade better than a loss?
right. Another thing I've been contemplating, because sometimes levels will be fairly close to overlapping,
Mm-hmm.
or like within a point or two. And like this is just observational right now. I have no data to back this up, but I think most of the time it'll go to the deeper level of the pullback. Um, for example, like today's a great example on that pullback to the uh, previous day high, where we broke down beneath or below, and then we pulled back, and we pulled back right to that previous day low, and we actually only pulled back 2 points past it, and then we dumped off hard. Um, but like if I'd taken the orb low, then I would have had to sit through, a 5.5 point pullback
Yeah,
instead of uh
previous day low.
2 point, yeah, 2 point pullback from previous day low.
Yeah, that's I guess that's part of it, right? Because we'll never quite know how those trades are gonna potentially
Right. I
play
mean, I
out.
I could go back and look and say like, okay, I got 2 levels. How often does it skip? Because we looked at one earlier where there was 3 levels in one spot and it pulled back to the deepest level. So
Pull back to the deepest, like you mean the furthest point of pulling back?
right.
Yeah, because here's
So
yeah,
yeah, on the
right. I see
trades
what
we
you're.
did on, yeah,
I see what you're
3/8/3/19. Yeah.
talking. Like here, where it comes down, it makes the orb low, right?
Right.
And it
Yep.
pulls all the way back up to pre-market low again to
Yeah.
orb low, pre-market low. It's going. Oh, it's kind of playing jump rope with previous day's low.
Right. Well, but like that's actually a good example with counterweight too, because there's a 5 minute pivot at 5:58 and 19, something like that. So up above, yeah, 50. You see the bottom of that swing low, first candle of the day.
Yep.
Yeah, so there's like a level there, like 58.20 or something, like 50, yeah, 58.19.
Mm-hmm.
And I was thinking it might come back and grab that just because that was the deeper level. So, but I mean, it's still a good trade off the pre-market low. But
Right. It's just like how far is it going to come back?
right,
Got you. Got you.
but I think it's. I'll have to look into it, but it might be how close the levels are. Like if they're like 2 points away from each other or something like that, then it'll go to the deeper level. But if they're like five or more, maybe
Got you.
it doesn't. Yeah, I don't know. Just thinking out loud.
No, that makes sense. That makes total sense. This would be like one of those times where, like, and I'm not saying we're gonna get a reversal, right? But like, if we look at this in the same way we just looked at the inverted one, where it was like an M pattern, is like we have this move down. We pull
Right.
back, like that's the peak of the pullback. We move down, but like we're holding this here. are we going to go like this now because we failed? Like these sellers have failed to move lower. And so if they
Right.
failed to move lower, are we going to go back to potentially like the origin of this move here area or here? You know what I mean? Where and I say like origin kind of loosely because like, ultimately we moved down, we pulled back, we moved down. So like you could see that being as like here, but
Right.
it was either some profit taking or some some people trying to just buy up this level off of what was this low here, and then it failed. But like and I say this to bring this up is because like this is where people take 2-minute EMA pullback and they fail and they get kind of frustrated and say like Maple's system doesn't work. It's like, well, Maple is also a big market structure trader, and he would tell you like, well, you've broken the pivot, you've made a new low of day, you pulled back, and before you took this entry up here, they failed to make a new low. Like the market's telling you, the structure's telling you, hey, they failed to make a new low, we're likely to go back. NQ though looks a little bit different in that well, it's in a gap to fill, but in that it made this move down and then it didn't make a new low, right? It was well, I guess that's the same difference. What chart? Why is this my Ninja Trader showing something different? Hold up. Ah, okay. Huh. That's one of those weird times. K Dot, you remember this, bro? When we were talking about how MNQ is a little bit different sometimes. That's MNQ actually did make a new low and NQ didn't. That's what I was looking at. How do I control my emotions the day after a huge green day? The same as I control them the day after a huge red day. Lots of alcohol. I'm just kidding. I don't typically feel like a surge of emotion after a huge green day. Yeah. I feel more yeah, I think I have more challenges after a red day. You get overconfident.
There you go.
Well, I think then like if you were hey, what's up, Shiny? Oh, Shiny jumped off. If you're getting overconfident, just to wrap up this answer for you, bro, if you feel overconfident, then I think it's important. It's like really important that you study those trades that you had your really green day on and confirm like, did you get lucky? Did you have defined edge? Where was the edge? Was your sizing appropriate? Etc. 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 Right? And so like, if you review all of it and you're like, any of those trades like, boy, I got lucky, I shouldn't take this trade again. You kind of know, and then it can help you solidify that you need to stay within the system. But if you just happen to hit a bunch of like systematic banger trades, and it's like then just look at, well, you had a huge green day. Well, why was it hugely green? Right? Was the size inconsistent? Did you take more trades than you normally do? Will you continue to take that many trades, etc., etc. But reviewing is always a thing, and like put yourself under a microscope and make sure that you are as critical of yourself as maybe somebody else would be of your trades. And if you're struggling to do that, for sure post your trades in chart review and ask people like what they think about them, and you can kind of get some insights from other traders and utilize the group to your advantage. And if you're still really you're just kind of feeling like insane confidence or whatever, you're much better off to size down the next day. And then if you make a mistake, it's not as painful. And if you're green, well, you're still green. It's not as big as you could have been, of course, but that's the way the market goes. You're one of our main jobs is to control risk in the market. And that's what I think you should focus on, man. Yeah, exactly. What's up, Shiny? Heard you pop on, bro. How you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
Thanks both of you for taking this time. Joe, this question is, you're looking at the not making new higher low. Not making new lower low. So would you have taken that trade, or is it because it's also, I guess, price 2 days before low, I guess Monday low, where
Right.
it's been stalling.
Yeah, exactly. Like, so I would, are you talking about like if would I take this to go short on NQ or take it to go long?
No. I'm talking going long. Remember you were showing the W,
Yep.
like
Yes. So
10.
yeah, they're
Or are you, maybe the right question is, are you already in that trade?
no, I'm not, and I'm not in the trade. No. What I would be looking at it for sure. You know, we do have a 10-minute CBC flip long. Now of course it's pulling back, but it's knifing through the EMAs. It doesn't look like from this standpoint, it doesn't look that good. But there's been times where for sure I've taken it and been in at 73, and that's already a 40-point move. Like being in on this red candle because it's like, okay, I saw we couldn't break the low. We flipped the candle by candle back to green. Is this potentially going to go? But there's also times where like I've gotten burned because, it just didn't make a low on that candle, but it's going to, you know? And if I would have gotten long or on this candle here, it's not that probable. It works sometimes, but it's not always that probable. The other thing though is that would have added to it is I have VIX at a key pivot. I have ES at key pivot. So it's not a blanket yes, but I would have been strongly considering it and might have taken it. I probably wouldn't take it with full size or copied on all accounts. You know what I mean? I would probably just maybe take smaller size.
So good thing you're talking about copy trading.
What's
Which
that?
copier are you using? Because you mentioned that you're trying to use it across the different firms and whatever not, right?
Yeah, I still have the copier I bought from Apex, which apparently works like very, very similar to the Replicanto one, which
Right.
I've looked into getting the Replicanto one too, and I might switch to that one. But the Apex copier has been working just fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But of course, with any copier, you have to, the gains and the losses come same quickness. All right, sorry. So, Mayhew, let's get back to a couple more. Are there any other like specific losses that you have any questions about?
Real quick.
Because I'll go back to gonna go back to looking at I think the 17th now.
Yeah, 17th. That was a rough day.
That was a rough day.
Unless you trade after the time I trade, it was choppy.
Nerd, I went too far back. And yeah, it was choppy. Okay. There was news this day?
I don't know. It may have just been like Trump talking. Because like that was what, 2 days before FOMC? 1 day before FOMC?
Gotcha. Right, with the contract rollover. Here's the 17th. So then your trade on the 17th, 10:48 and 12:16. So okay. 10:48 is this candle.
Yep.
12:16 is this candle. Okay. They're both long trades, right?
Yep.
All right. 10:40. How do I like put this in a systematic way? So by this time, by the first hour of the day, right? It's 10:30. By
Yep.
10:30, so I'm just gonna highlight that period. This is 10:30. So by this point of the day, you have what would be the initial balance, right? And this is where your initial balance is. We pushed up, right? We didn't make the orb high. We came back down, hit this 2-minute 20, pushed back up. We made the orb high. Came back down. We hit the mid orb, belly button, etc. Here. Didn't hit the orb high, right? We came back down and we went. I'm gonna delete this box now because it's getting in the way. We went lower, and then we went a little lower, and then we came back up. And it's like, I get it, because it's kind of like well, I'm thinking about going long here because, like, well, why wouldn't we go higher? Well, we've already been failing to go higher. And so you're likely to make a lower high here. You're more likely to make a lower high here knowing that you've already been stuck in this range for over an hour, right? Because you were just in from when you got through here. This is 9:34. You've already been in just this half right here for an hour. And so you have the EMAs, yes. And you do not have 10-minute CBC. And then, the candle that you're entering in on doesn't look very strong. So like you've reclaimed the 2-minute EMAs and you're starting to look really weak. And that's where it's like, hey, this is for sure setting up to be like a red flag, right? If for anybody, like, or if you want to just pull it up on your chart right now, I don't want to like jack this up and move like all the way over, right? But if you looked at the NQ chart at up from 11 o'clock, like 10:56 to, for that half hour consolidation, you see all these 2-minute candles. They're just doji, just drifting your way up. And then it finally moves higher. It hits the 20s level and knifes, right? And so this is just a faster version of that, like where it's just doji drift. Even this one here, when this candle pushed up and it closed back down, like it's like, this doesn't look good. Like there's no strength. This is just like wishy-washy. So by the time you're getting in here, you don't have like a strong probability of, hey, this looks really good. Instead, if you had just done the opposite and said, hey, this does not look good for bulls, it would have worked.
Yep. Yeah. The key points for me that was like, oh, I think I should take that was like, obviously there was like a 5-minute bullish engulfing, whether or not you like engulfing or not. But
Yeah.
then they like pulled back and like held that engulfing, like the reversal pivot from that engulfing, like pretty much perfectly. Like it wicked off of it.
Right. I could see that because I'm
pretty much.
sure it was probably like from like this low to here. And then, they came down and wicked into here. And so like the risk is tighter if you're entering in like based off of the high of this, in here underneath the 2-minute EMAs. That's where your tightest risk is. And if you grabbed it, like when the candle was red, bullish engulfing on the 5, you would have had maybe from 11s to, this has been one of those opportunities where if you nabbed an entry like that, like it's worth it to move the stop to break even,
right?
Because you're up like 7 or 8. But it's same thing watching the bodies, and I'm not sure exactly what this looks like on the 5-minute, but I can see, oops, that didn't draw correctly, but so like that. You can see just where like these buyers, again, very similar to the other one. Look at where the buyers were. These buyers pushed up. They couldn't make a new high. They came back down to try to reload. They pushed up. They made not only did they not make a new high versus high of day, they couldn't make a new high versus this pivot, and price fell. When price fell, we took out these buyers. Why these buyers? Because these buyers failed to break over the high of day. So we knife under them, right? Probably clear them out. Well, when we do that, and what we're doing, right, we push up. Now it's like you have these stuck buyers. So like, ideally, what we'll find is we're going to push over those stuck buyers and get some sort of basing onto them as like a confirmation that, hey, they're still here, they're still present, we're still good to go before it's maybe going to take the next push, right?
Right.
But we didn't. Like you saw, like from here, we pushed up, we tried to hold on to this. Okay, that's fine. this is like a micro high or low inside of this. It's kind of like in the internal structure here, and then it fails.
Yep. Yeah. Gotcha. Yeah. That in the 2 minute was like barely flipped. Like it was like the MEAs were pinched or whatever right there. So
Gotcha.
yeah, it was a questionable one. But then the other one, the next one,
Yep, the other
man,
ones
that was close. But,
that was close on because you got stopped out.
yeah, it pulled back 9.5, but
Yep.
would have gone 55. I did take another trade. It was better after that, but yeah.
Yeah, so you get in on this one, but every double top.
Oh,
So
yeah.
you've got in following a double top. So like biggest takeaway that I have so far from our discussion, which we've already been on an hour. This is, I mean, time flies, I guess, when you're having fun. Biggest takeaway so far is like just the being aware of pivots and like potential like double tops, right? So if a pivot's already broken, you have to wait for basing on that pivot, and how many pullbacks have you had? And if there's a double top or close to double top rejection, got to wait for that to pull back to see if that low is going to hold. And in this instance, it did, right? Because you got what was a double top here, essentially double bottom, right? You can draw it off the green candle or the red one or whatever, right? But pushes up, here's the low, trying to hold a higher low, pushes up, equal highs, comes back down, higher low holds. Now we got to go back up.
Yep. So I've got written down just now obvious reversal scenario type things. So like you just said, double top or multi-top, something like that. Could be one, or like a liquidity sweep could be one. So maybe if I go back through and double check, and if I mean I'll have to back test this, but if it like just does like a liquidity sweep or a double top or a multi-top formation type thing, um, maybe if I avoid the immediate pullback after that,
Probably so.
that could, yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have any other like obvious like beginner level obvious reversal patterns than like a multi-top, a double top, or like a liquidity sweep?
No, I mean
Just so I
that's
have
those. I feel like
ideas.
those are the big ones, right? Like double top, pivot broken, looks like a sweep, reversal candles, like like a hanging man, hammer candle at the top or hammer candle at the lows.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's pretty much, I mean, it's me just going through your trades, and I haven't gone through all of them, obviously, just been, working my way through them and chatting with you today. But like going through them, that's definitely the common denominator of all of these. And so, but that's where like KDOT has a good point is how many, like, let's should look at some of your winners, right? Because how many of your other winners, like maybe wouldn't be wins? And
Right.
I wouldn't know. I probably don't have the time to go through all of them. You would probably know better than me, but let's look at let's look at some like recent ones. I think you have some. It would be yesterday. I'm gonna get rid of all these drawings. Oh, did I say the 24th? Yeah, 24th.
25th, 24th.
Yeah, I don't see any on here that say the 25th. I just see the ones that say the 24th.
Oh yeah, because that's when I sent. I didn't put in the 24th
No worries.
or the 25th when I sent you that.
Yeah, so 24th, 10:24 a.m. Oh yeah, you already kind of asked. You took this. We talked about this one. You took this one. You sat through a bit of a pullback, but it worked, right? We already discussed that one. 10:38. Same thing. Actually, this one's probably better, although maybe a little bit early, right? Because it did fall and
Right.
you don't have a lot of confirmation that it's going to go. Or when you get this candle by candle flip back over, and then if you bought anywhere in the red body here, risking this low, or even if you give it full risk just in case it sweeps, you're good. That's a really good one. That one's just maybe a tad early, but good. 1102. Yeah, that was a good one too. So long as
Yeah, it would have been at the pivot, the 5-minute pivot down below. So
right, so it would have been like here. Yeah, it's fantastic. This is like fantastic. So, and even then, you actually see where the same pivot holds one more time.
Right. Yeah. That one. Yeah, that was good. But that was.
If let me just put I want to put
some of the wins that I get with this, like some of the entries. I'm like, what the heck? Why would I ever enter there? But then it like freaking works.
Huh.
Then it's like I have some where it's like a pullback like that one on the we just talked about, but it literally like is to the point, like at the bottom of that wick, and it just freaking reverses. It's like, what the heck? Why would I do that? I don't know. Stocks.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's pretty, but that's pretty good. So it's like you're in your mind though, you're like buying the red candle, and you're like, this don't feel right.
Right.
And then it works. 10:38.
But sometimes it feels a lot less right than other times.
Sure. Yeah. As probably when you see the structure and you're more familiar with it. 11:46. 46, was that today? Oh, that's a different day. My bad. Okay. So 321, 11:22, 21, 11:20. Yeah. Oh, you went short right here?
Yeah, that one. Right at the orb level there, but yeah.
Yeah. And then so you went short here. You didn't get the scale. It came back. It actually went slightly red on you. This would be an instance where, depending on if you got in at the orb, you would have been green about 6 to 7 points, maybe 6-ish. So you wouldn't have moved your stop, and then it does end up working.
Right.
So you said you took this. Oh, you took this trade over here. It was a loss, right? Afterwards,
right.
on the very next point. So
two wins and then a loss. Yeah.
So you kind of almost tried to rob the same bank twice or 3 times.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's slightly different bank, different branch, but
he said different branch. Oh, that's pretty funny, dude. You're right. It is different. It's different time. It's a different branch, But yeah. So you got these two pretty good.
So here's a question for you, and this is just a mechanical thing on Top Step. On Top Step, how can I set a stop loss? Like if I wanted to take those 2 trades, right? Like I wasn't actually able to take them because what day was that? Friday.
Yeah,
I wasn't even awake. But how can I set 2 different stop losses? Like if I took, like let's say I took 1 con on the first one and then 1 con on the second pullback. Now, granted, they both have the same stop loss, but in this scenario, if there was another scenario where there was like 2 lines, how could I set 2 different stop losses and 2 different take profits
on the same while you're on the same one account? You can't.
Okay, yeah.
That's a downside. That's a downside to Top Step, because on Ninja you can. Like on Ninja, here. Oh, look at that. We're cracking lower. Oh, looks like it did look like a fake out. We just made a new low day. On Ninja, say for example, here we go. If I buy one here,
order filled,
right? And whoa, shit! Hold on. I'm not trying to get instant stopped. I'm just playing. Jesus. That's why you don't go long hoping the double bottom's gonna hold. But then if I added a con here, it links them together. But I can right click on it and I can just like
Okay.
increase or decrease, or decrease, and then boom, there it is. And I can also do something like, I think like what you do, attached indicator, whatever, or like auto change. You can do different things, but that's only on Ninja. The downside to trading on Ninja though is that if you trade micros, it's a 1-to-1. So if you're let's just say when you're below the $2,000 profit requirement on a funded account, you can only trade 2 micros. And then if you're over, I think if you're over 1,500, you can trade 3 micros, and then the max you can get is 5 micros.
Okay.
Whereas like on Top Step X, when you first start the account, you can do 2 minis or 20 micros. It's the actual 10-to-1 ratio.
Okay. Gotcha. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Otherwise, you can't. You'd have to do it. You can't do an OCO bracket. So you would have to. You'd have to do something like this.
Order filled.
You'd have to do something. I got stopped out like right here too. It blows. You would do something like let's just say you bought 2, or if you bought 1 and you had like the first bracket.
Order filled.
Like, and this is how Top Step would be. Oops. If you move your stop up, move your target up, and then if you added another one,
order filled.
What you'd have to do is you can leave it as the sell 2 buy 2 is fine, because whenever an order gets hit, it'll automatically adjust that, but you would then have to just like put in an order like sell
Order
limit 1,
submitted.
right? And so whenever this gets hit, like on Top Step, I'm just going to bring it down so it gets hit now. But whenever it gets hit, whenever it is, it would just adjust. The bracket adjusts.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was trying to do that, and I just accidentally sold like not right now, but I accidentally sold like half my position trying to do
order filled.
Oh, got you. Yeah, it's a pain.
Step, yeah. So,
yeah.
like
I wish Top Step. That's the other thing I wish Top Step had too, was the multiple target brackets. So that way, like just by default, I could say I'm going to enter in with 2 cons, and my first take profit is at 15. And then my next one's at 30 or whatever, right? And same 1 stops, 2 targets. That will be a big upgrade whenever they enable that.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, I think I don't want to take up your whole day, but I think I got a lot of stuff that I can go through this weekend and look for. I can look at the obvious like pullbacks after obvious reversal scenarios, see if that helps, and I can look for which number pullback. I think that's going to be a good one.
Yeah.
And then maybe I'll throw in the big move to a key level too. I'll get a lot more data.
Yeah, that sounds good. I mean, you have a lot of data here, and again, just for anybody who makes it this long into the video, I want to stress, like, this is really awesome, man. You have a lot here. You've spent a lot of time on this, and you're really, systematizing your approach to the market, which is only going to help you in the long run. So, good job.
Yeah, hopefully it works.
Well, I'm sure it will, bro. I'm sure it will.
Well,